Hey guys, HDvee here, and welcome back to a brand new video going over Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. In today's video, we have a brand new interview from Junichi Masuda himself, talking about more aspects of Pokemon Sword and Shield and different elements of the game. So if you are excited for the video, be sure to drop a like down below. Leave a comment as well. I do love talking to you guys in the comment section, discussing the video and everything like that. And of course, be sure to subscribe as well if you're brand new. Hit the notification bell because we do upload a bunch of daily Pokemon content for you guys to enjoy. With all of that out of the way though, guys, let's get into the video, and I really hope that you enjoy. So starting things off, this interview will just be linked in the description as always. It's quite a hefty interview, you know, there's quite a lot of stuff to go over. Of course, I'm not going to read every single individual thing because we'll be here for about half an hour, but I am just gonna, get the key points out, the key elements of the article. But anyway, it says, Pokemon Sword and Shield hangs on an interview. We try to implement new things fairly gradually. So that's obviously just one of the quotes in the interview. So Game Central speaks to the producer and director of the new Pokemon games about online options, arm-breaking swans, and shorts versus trousers. So this is just kind of like a recap of E3 about like the demo and stuff. So we don't really need to talk about that because we've already seen all of that. This is the actual interview here. So it says, you're potentially making the dream game of every Pokemon fan here. For years, people have been asking for an open world game with modern home console graphics. Was that something you were aware of when you were designing the game? So I'm definitely happy to finally be able to deliver on what I think fans have been waiting on. After Pokemon X and Y and Pokemon Sun and Moon, we're now continuing the main series with a new generation of Pokemon, and we're able to do it on a console this time. Then he says, it must be difficult catering for both legacy fans and newer players. How much of your time is spent thinking about what the older fans will want versus worrying about accessibility, particularly for younger kids? We always try and make the game for as broad of an audience as possible, and I think we're able to do that by having a lot of the features that you encounter up front. We make sure that we explain it all very thoroughly, introduce the world to players, and teach them even the basics. If there's still a new player, we teach them how to throw the Pokeball. So basically, with this, what they're saying is, we basically want to spoon feed you everything that you don't know, so the new players kind of understand everything, which is fine if there's just a skip button, like, I've been playing Pokemon since I was 5 years old, and yes, I didn't know what I was doing when I first played. So the thing is though, in the older games, there just wasn't really any introduction to anything. All we got was an old guy throwing a Pokeball at Weedle, and that was it. You had to figure out everything else on your own. Now literally every single thing is spoon-fed. So, like, why did I have to figure out everything on my own? But then, like, the kids of today, they don't. They just get to find everything out by them getting told. I think it's just a better experience if you just play the game and learn things as you play. But fair enough if they want to help people out, but just add a skip button so people like me just don't have to go through catching a Pokemon every single time a new Pokemon game comes out, because I've done it a billion times before, And then it says, and then on more of the back end of things, having unique battle systems and a lot of depth on how you can train and raise your Pokemon to really satisfy the fans that have been with us the entire time. Which I think is kind of a weird statement, because to satisfy your fans isn't taking out half the Pokedex, but that's just my thoughts on that. The new game almost seems to be divided into two sections, with the stuff around towns working like previous games with a relatively fixed camera, and the wild area is more like a modern world open game. Was that a purposely created compromise? I think that's fair to say. We're trying to make big changes in the series. We want to do a bit more gradually. Every time we make a new game, we want to change up the formula and do new things, but if you do too much all at once, then it feels like it might not be a Pokemon game. So we try to implement new things fairly gradually to try and satisfy some of the requests from fans to try out new things. If it goes well, we would incorporate that in the future. So yeah, I think you could say that the wild area is our answer to some of the requests for a more open area, and we'll continue to do new things gradually as we progress with the series. I do have to hand that to Pokemon. We have been asking for like an open world kind of thing for a long time, and now that's like a reality. And not only that, it's kind of like a massive online hub as well, because we can go up to random players and stuff and trade and battle and do Dynamax battles with them. So I think that's a really cool feature, and I hope that they continue to implement wild area-like places in the future Pokemon games. And then it says, this is obviously an important milestone for the franchise, but how radical a change that you are willing to consider for Sword and Shield? I'm sure plenty of fans have suggested having everything open world, like a big Skyrim type world, or even things like having real-time combat instead of turn-based, which is something Square Enix have obviously been thinking about with Final Fantasy Remake. They're not necessarily good ideas, but are they possibilities that came up? We, of course, in the conceptual phase, we think a lot of more possibly radical changes that we might want to try out, but a lot of them are just ideas at the time we end up not incorporating them. But we are inspired by the current gaming environment, games that modern players enjoy. A long time ago, for example, it was traditional to have a camera looking down at 2D gameplay with much more fixed movement, but now 3D games are the norm, Pokemon being able to freely move around the camera is something that people are used to, and we're able to incorporate that more. So it really just comes back to what we think Pokemon fans are really looking forward to trying. And for example, real-time combat, we've thought about that before, but we just keep coming back, at least for these games, to the turn-based system that is what fans of Pokemon enjoy more. So they definitely could be doing real-time combat in a Pokemon game at some point, because then he goes on to say, okay, but that implies you might try it on a spin-off. We've got a lot of ideas, but nothing to comment on right now. So we could definitely be getting a spin-off title with real-time combat, which I definitely think would be really, really good for a Pokemon game. Real-time combat was really good in Final Fantasy. I played most of the Final Fantasy games, but 13 and like 13 Part 2, I think, had a lot of real-time combat, and those games were literally like, you had to constantly be thinking, you know, because if you didn't do anything, you just get attacked and attacked and attacked, and you just lose. So you constantly have to, especially with Final Fantasy games as well, like you have to make sure you're always healed and stuff, and then getting like a right damage of like magic attacks off, and then like physical attacks. So I really, really did enjoy Final Fantasy 13 just because of that real-time combat aspect, and I would really love to see that in a Pokemon game, because I think it could definitely shake things up a bit, and I think people would generally like it as well, because turn-based, yeah, it's always really known for Pokemon, but it can get a little bit stagnant with the fact that it's just you do that, then you do that, then you do that. Whereas real-time combat is just like just constantly, you have to be on your like toes all the time. But yeah, maybe getting it in a spin-off, that could be really cool. I think they should definitely try that. Like release a spin-off with real-time combat, see how it's received, and if it's received really, really well, then they could maybe implement that into certain aspects of a Pokemon game. So not necessarily completely get rid of the turn-based, but maybe add parts of the game that have real-time battles, maybe, or have it like you could choose if you want a real-time or turn-based. So why was it that Dynamax became one of the main gimmicks for the new games? It was really inspired by the move to Switch, high resolutions, blah blah blah. I've been looking at the new reactions online. Everyone seems very keen, except there is a concern that new features get added to Pokemon each time, and whether they're well received or not, they seem to disappear for the next iteration for no obvious reason. Is Dynamax something that's going to stick around forever? At Game Freak, it really just comes from our desire to surprise the players with new gameplay. Not to do the exact same thing every time, but have a twist on something. That keeps people surprised and enjoy the new style of gameplay. Well, that's kind of crazy that you said that, because in a previous interview he said that there may never be a full Pokedex ever again, like with every single Pokemon, because they constantly have to add animations for like Dynamaxing and stuff. So they basically already said before that Dynamax is going to be in the future generations, which is why they may not be able to have every single Pokemon in the game. So for them to say that, I don't know, I feel like they're kind of stepping back on what they've already said. If a feature has been removed, like the Versus Eco, Battle Frontier, and so on, is there still a chance they might come back in the future, even if it's not for this one? I think if by bringing it back, it would be a surprise in itself to be a new take on the formula. I think we might see things like that happen. For example, in these games, the bike is back, which has gone for a while. In Sun and Moon, you could ride on the back of certain Pokemon to get around. We felt with the wild area being so large, we wanted to look at what would be the best way to let players get around very smoothly without too much trouble. So we brought back the bike, but we also changed it a little bit so it can now go seamlessly over water, and we added new things to make it feel like it's a surprise again. I bet it could like hover and stuff as well, you know. I bet there's loads of stuff that you can do with the Rotom bike. Is the game based on the UK region? I'm not clear. Is UK or England? Basically based on UK, says there. That's what I was going to ask. Is there any specific mythology or supernatural characters you're incorporating into these games? I don't know what we've really got other than Nessie. One specific example is the legends like giants, so the Brutos and stuff like that. Blah blah blah. That's just a little conversation. So just turning to the Pokemon designs, is there a different methodology to creating them with each game? I don't know whether that will be informed by the new setting or new hardware. Every game, and even in a single game, there's a lot of different methods we use to design different Pokemon. They come from a lot of different places. One of the approaches we focused on this time around was not just having our digital artists come up with the new visual designs, but they're just figuring out what to do with them. Instead, we'd have some of the game design, even if not very artistically inclined, they would come up with a setting or an idea that can be paired with an artist, and then they would work on it like a team together to come up with a wide variety of new Pokemon. So that was kind of a new approach that we took this time around. One example is Wooloo, the sheep Pokemon, and one of the reasons for that is that there are a lot of sheep in the UK. But aside from that, the designer came up with a lot of settings that they wanted. I can't wait to see the evolution of Wooloo, man. Wooloo is great. This is a slightly silly example, but I think everyone in the UK was told what... Oh, okay, so yeah, that's just the Swan thing. Nothing new there. What do you think about your response to the Pikachu movie? Don't matter about that. When I was talking about the other idea of the Pokemon game, robust online features. Yeah, okay. And again, that's something that's waxed and waned with the mainline games over time. We will see that being expanded on. Could things like co-op for the whole game be in the title for future ones? We've always viewed Pokemon as a kind of a communication tool, even starting with the Game Boy, where you had to link cables to connect with other players to battle and trade. We tried to expand on it in different ways every game, but I think online is definitely one of the focuses we put for these games. So they've definitely focused a lot on online, which is obviously quite obvious with the fact that in the wild area it's like a massive online hub. For example, the wild area, when you connect to the internet, you can actually be matched up with other players from around the world, and they'll start appearing in your wild, and then you can use them, and then you can see them, and you can either invite them to trade or battle, or even engage in the Rex raid battles, which is kind of the first time we've done this cooperative battle gameplay, which can team up with 3 other players and then take on big bosses. I think you'll find there's definitely more of a focus online this time, and we'll continue to try and expand on more communications in the future, which I'm very happy about. I really like the whole wild area thing. I think it's a really cool idea, to be fair. And I hope that if you have like friends and stuff, they just appear automatically, so you don't have to like go through a load of trouble to try and find them. If I could end up with 2 quick requests, which one I think you get a lot and which one I'm sure you don't. Firstly, I can't believe it's 2019 and there still isn't a Pokemon Snap 2. Laughs. You had the Wii U gamepad and now you've got Nintendo Labo VR, which has an actual physical camera. Why is there not a Pokemon Snap 2? I'll pre-order it right now if you agree to make it. Laughs. All I can say is I don't think we can make the thing. All I can say is I don't think we can just make the same thing again. So we'd have to come up with a very unique twist on it if we do make another one. Okay, that's fine. Please do so. And the other thing, can we please have the chance to wear trousers in the game? There's for many Britons that will be wandering around in shorts all day, but you never have to buy them at shops. It's always just shorts. Just say yes. There's a lot. Okay, so that's just whatever. So all in all, quite an interesting article. I think the main interesting point, though, is the whole real-time battle thing that could be implemented into a spin-off title. This bit here. I would definitely like to see that, because real-time, like I said, is a really cool aspect of like playing a game, and I like the fact that you can't just like, you can't become just stationary. You actually have to constantly think, otherwise you just lose. I think real-time battles would be very similar to like the anime as well. It'd give you more of a feeling. Like the anime battles are always just looking more just better, you know, the anime battles. This, I think, could be really good for Pokemon if they do it. I don't think it'll happen anytime soon. I think what the route they should take is make the spin-off, apply it with real-time battle, and then if it's received really well, implement it into the Pokemon games. I think that's what they should do. What do you guys think about spin-offs with real-time battle systems? I think that would be really cool to see. Either way, that's going to be everything for this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to drop a like down below. I really do appreciate it. Leave a comment as well, like I say, about anything that we've gone over. If you do want to see the article yourself, it is just in the description down below. And of course, subscribe as well if you're brand new. That's everything from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing rest of your day. And until next time, peace.